Good morning, guys. Welcome to today's training on thriving beyond codependency, discovering that happiness after codependency that is your right, your destiny as you move through the processes I give you here today. Today we're going to be talking about the wonderful and exciting world. Oh, gotta set that to public. Exciting world of fatigue that comes with narcissistic abuse. So before we get to that, I need to share this out to the community. If you're looking for a safe haven, a home, a shelter from the storm of narcissistic abuse in your life, join the community. You'll get love and support. You'll get a witness to the experiences you've been through. Sorry. And you see you're not crazy. I mean, that's like the biggest benefit. It's like, wow, I'm not the only one going through this. So yeah, that's a biggie. Let's see. Let me get this shared out here. No. Yes. They keep changing the options and stuff, and it keeps driving me crazy. So, but yeah, this is what we be doing today, guys. Let's see. Boom. And if you're the link to the community is above on Facebook, below on YouTube. Apologize, guys. I'm just a little frazzled this morning. Let's put it out there. I've got a lot of fatigue. I do a lot of work, helping a lot of people, and sometimes I get rattled. I get rattled by the experience of feedback, because I get a lot of strong positive feedback, but sometimes problems show up or there's confusion and stuff, and that can rattle me because in the past when there was confusion or problems, that also led to claims of being a fraud or something like that, and rattles that up a little bit sometimes. Makes me sorry about that. Really scared about getting abused for it. Not that I really am going to be abused. I mean, my clients and students are wonderful, beautiful people. But it brings that up, so it's definitely a place for me to work on in my own journey back to myself. So, fatigue. Fatigue is a fun thing, right? So fatigue is a result of abuse that is not often talked about. Usually we hear a lot about guilt, shame, and fear, a lot about trauma, but not a lot about fatigue. And fatigue is one of those elements where you feel like you're just exhausted, but not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, relationally. You have a low tolerance and desire to deal with things. In fact, strangely, especially in narcissistic abuse, there's a very specific kind of fatigue that enters, and that is toleration fatigue. Like, I can't tolerate the emotions, even if they're positive. It's hard to keep up with it because it takes energy. Abuse, especially narcissistic abuse, conditions us to have a weaponized and hypervigilant relationship with positive feelings. We don't trust that they're actually good or safe. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're anticipating the devalue stage or the discard stage in this. And it paralyzes us a bit in this experience, so we can't actually relax into the good that we're experiencing. We can't rest. See, that's the opposite of fatigue is rest. It isn't the escaping of something. It's not even getting sleep. It's actual emotional, nervous system, in-body, somatic rest where we can relax and expand rather than be so contracted and tense. And this kind of fatigue is something that's persistent in most survivors of narcissistic abuse. It's certainly been one that I've wrestled with. It took me probably 3 years of deep resting and regulation to really restore myself back to a highly resilient state of energy. The reason it took that long is because a lot of people were not addressing fatigue. If I'd had the understanding and tools I have now, that would have been much faster. I see most clients tend to start to emerge from their deep fatigue within about 3 to 6 months, and then that just keeps climbing for them as they build internal and external resources for more safety, right? So fatigue is a huge thing. The other side of this is when we start having positive experiences, we got to work out our relationship to that, right? So like I was talking about a moment ago, is this, we have hypervigilance in the positive feelings, and that also drains us. So it's learning how to relax again into the safety of positive emotion, positive experience, and also trusting rest. Like in my personal experience, every time I really let down and rested, within about a day or two, some abusive act would happen. And that conditioned my nervous system to associate rest with the anticipation of abuse. And hi, Michelle. And that is part of our big challenge here, is moving out of the hypervigilance and moving into a safety with rest, so that we can restore ourselves from the fatigue that we've been enduring thanks to the abuse. Because we've got adrenal burnout, our nervous system fatigue, the body is tired, our minds are tired, we're emotionally tapped out, and we haven't been nurtured, we haven't been cared for, we haven't been nourished in the way that we need, and so we're running dry, we're running on fumes, and that leads to more fatigue. So how do we get out of fatigue? Well, first thing I did was I created an emotional shelter for myself. I call this bubbling. So when I go to bed at night, I tell my brain, hey, for the next 8 hours, there is nothing we need to worry about. And then I visualize myself in this bubble. Bloop. And I'm in my little bubble. Nothing can get into this bubble. Anything that's negative within me can go out, and only the positive can come in, and I am secure. This helps my brain get the chance to rest and relax, and I can expand and rest. I do that all the time. Second thing I do, because that gets me rest, it helps me sleep. We need that critically. Second thing is exercise. A good 20-minute cardio can do a lot of good for the body in restoring chemical and hormone balance, getting your mind active, getting yourself engaged. Very, very important. So ironically, it seems like, well, I'm fatigued, why would I exercise? Exercise produces different, it gets the cortisol out of the bloodstream, gets the adrenaline out, and you can just move through the chemistry and introduces endomorphins, and endorphins into the system. You feel better. The third is diet, reduce your sugar. I found that to be a big contributor there. And the fourth is really creating little bubbles throughout your day. Chance to just disconnect from it all and deflate and just be. It's such a huge deal to help us rest. And then we've got to work with the mental and emotional, the somatic system within ourselves to find more peace and more capacity for difficult things that show up. And that's what the fatigue release guide is about. Okay? So linked above, if you're on Facebook, and below, if you're on YouTube, is my fatigue release guide. And that's there to help you let go of some of the fatigue you might be attached to or that you've normalized into your life, and help you bring in a little more peace and rest. So a lot of times, especially students that do this fall asleep during it. Good. That's kind of the point. That's what you need. You'll also find some really interesting things show up as you let go of fatigue, because then your needs start showing up. And sometimes it's not sleep that you need. Sometimes it's joy. Sometimes it's action. Sometimes it's doing something creative or something fun or playful. Do those things. Okay? So fatigue is something we got to work out, we got to heal and help ourselves restore from by creating safe spaces where we can rest, by creating capacity to deal with chaoses and challenges that show up in our life, and number 3, letting go of the fatigue so that we can discover real rest and real rejuvenation through our own genuine voice, our own genuine value, our own genuine vision about who we are. So, guys, you can heal from this. You can be free of it. especially once you get outside of narcissistic situations and relationships and allow yourself to have safety in your specific area, you'll win. You'll succeed. So there you go, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for being who you are. Remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. And I will see you guys in our next video. Okay? Be safe out there.